My name is Dermot Frost and I work in Trinity College Dublin in the IT department, but I'm here in my personal capacity here as an ordinary Joe Soap.
And as I was saying this evening, you were probably one of the few people to speak just in that capacity. But the members of the committee, Dr. O'Nodell here this evening, was very quick to point out that the copyright community includes not just the producers, not just the corporations, it also includes the likes of you and me who buy, for example, copyright material, who buy the work of artists and musicians and writers and people like that. You had some interesting things to say. I thought you welcomed the report in general. Was my impression, Dermot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been sort of following the copyright review process, has been going on for the last couple of years, and actually made submissions to both rounds of public submissions. And a lot of the time it was around issues around when I buy a CD or a movie, what am I actually entitled to do with it? Am I committing a criminal offence if I put it on a USB stick and listen to it in my car or something like that? And so those sort of proposals that have come out of this copyright review committee, I'm much in favour of, because it decriminalises me as an ordinary user, while still leaves protection for those who are actually creating the thing, that I actually still have to buy the CD. I can't just go to a website and download a torrent and get it all for free under any proposed new regime. So to me it strikes a reasonable balance between the rights of the consumer and the rights of the producer. Unfortunately then the people in the middle are probably the ones who get squeezed, people like IMRO or people like the record industry or the movie industry as the aggregators or the producers of that data, rather than the original content creators. Hopefully they'll be slightly more protected in the new regime.
The committee in their report, in that specific case, they're absolutely unambiguous about it. If you buy a CD, you ought to have the right to back that up. And let's face it, as an IT professional, Dermot, you wouldn't advise anyone to retain just a single copy of any kind of data.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's crazy. You have it on one disc, the disc goes wallop and you don't have your data. And I mean, there are situations, I mean, I looked at my personal collection, there are some albums that I've bought 5 times in the past, twice on tape as they got chewed up, once on vinyl because I wanted the big picture, and then twice on CD again. If I was actually, and that's not to say that I didn't necessarily surreptitiously back it up to my iPod anyway, but now actually I'm allowed to do that. If this gets put into law, I'm allowed to actually provide a backup of my own data for my own personal use, and that has to be sensible.
There were various groups here representing various interests, and legitimate interests indeed, of rights owners, of producers, of artists and actors and musicians and people like that as well. But in terms of what the public wants in general, and they were very clear that these rights, this report is recommending that rights are balanced and that everyone's rights are protected. Would you feel that there's going to be a lot of support among the public for, let's say, the right to back up your CDs, the right to quote a snippet of information when you link to a website without fear of prosecution?
Well, I think people are doing that already. So there's, I think, an implicit assumption in the population that actually I'm already allowed to do this. Yeah. So the fact that it's now going to codify what practice is at the moment. I mean, there's hardly anybody who buys a CD. Well, I don't know of anybody who buys a CD and then goes onto iTunes and buys the same stuff again just so they can have the separate format. So carrying out format shifting, time shifting, all those sort of things are common practice in society already. So if they get legislated for, well, then that makes sense to me, and I think it would make sense to all the public.
Would you like to see this report turned into legislation?
The bits that I'm interested in, absolutely. There's an awful lot of it that I either don't understand or am not particularly interested in, but having read it, it seems pretty balanced between the rights of the various competing groups. So yeah, generally I think I'd have to welcome it.